Please stand for the posting of the colors and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance and Invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to introduce Chaplain Dave Henyon, who will read the invocation.
Let's come to the Lord in prayer. Our great God and Heavenly Father, we give you so much thanks for these who you have called to a special ministry amongst us. Their calling, Lord, is to protect, to serve, and provide when people call three numbers, that they, as strangers, will show up and protect and care for those who are in trouble. I pray, God, that the training that they have received, that they will utilize, that will come to their mind, that they'll be able to do the job that is necessary, keep their hearts from getting embittered and discouraged. I just pray, too, that you'll keep them safe. We pray for their families, too, who will be making adjustments, the hours, the time that they spend, the difficulties that they may be going through, that, Lord, you will bring them through safely also. We give you thanks for this day and for those who have provided this training and for these who now go out as your servants. In Jesus' name, amen.
Good morning, graduates, family, friends, and all our distinguished guests. I'm Captain White with the training. I am Captain White, training commander of the Wichita Police Department. On behalf of the staff in the Wichita-Sedgwick County Law Enforcement Training Center, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the Spring 2017 Recruit Class Graduation Ceremony. 25 weeks ago, on January 9th, this group of men and women assembled for the first time to begin their academy training. They had already completed comprehensive testing and screening process that took many months, and they were chosen from a pool of several hundred applicants. Since January, members of the training staff and dozens of guest instructors have put forth a tremendous amount of time and effort to deliver the challenging and comprehensive training regimen that our academy is known for. Some of the major topics instructed include criminal law and procedure, community policing and problem solving, ethics, defensive tactics, handgun and shotgun proficiency, defensive driving and emergency vehicle operations, report writing, customer service, and diversity awareness. There's also an extensive amount of practical scenario training provided involving car stops, building searches, domestic disturbances, and many other topics. The graduates we are recognizing here today has successfully completed all of this training, the associated testing, and all other requirements of the Wichita-Sedgwick County Law Enforcement Training Center and Kansas Commission on Peace Officer Standards and Training. None of this would have been possible without the efforts of the Training Academy staff and our many guest instructors. Deserving special recognition for the success of this class is the Academy Lieutenant Travis Easter and the Field Training Officer Andrew Tapia. Thank you for your commitment and leadership. Please stand and be recognized. It is now my pleasure to introduce Chief Gordon Ramsay. Chief Gordon Ramsay was appointed as the Wichita Police Chief in January 2016. Prior to coming to Wichita, he worked his way up the ranks at the police department in Duluth, Minnesota. He was appointed as chief in 2006 at the age of 34 and was the youngest chief in the city's history. Chief Ramsay got an early start in policing at the age of 20 and has been committed to the community policing philosophy since the beginning of his career. Since coming to Wichita, he has focused on pushing officers closer to communities they serve, building relationships, increasing the use of technology, and reducing crime. Chief Ramsay has a bachelor's degree in criminology, sociology, and a master's degree in management, and is the past president of the Minnesota's Chiefs of Police Association. He is currently on the board of the Wichita area's YMCA and the Boys and Girls Club of South Central Kansas. Chief Ramsay lives in Wichita with his wife of 20 years and 2 young children. Chief Ramsay.
Well, good morning. I'd like to begin by thanking everybody for being here and congratulating the recruits, as well as their friends and families. I'd like to recognize the command staff of the department who, for all they do, day in and day out, as well as putting up with me every day. I see a couple of them nodding. To those in the audience who have raised our recruits here today, thank you for supporting your loved ones as they enter this profession. You obviously have raised your child with high moral standards and ethical standards, and regardless of what you were thinking about them back in junior high or high school, they've turned out to be pretty good people. We're proud to have them. And really, you're probably a big reason why they're here today. They're here because really of their character, which was created by those that raised them. You were a big part of their life. So you know, as Captain White mentioned, they went through a rigorous process to get here and are really one out of hundreds that made it through the process, that made it through the different aspects of the hiring process. We know they are the best and brightest and represent the best and brightest. And again, we are very proud that they're here and are joining our police department. Well, to the recruits, as the new police officers, you have accomplished a lot to get here. We know that. I spoke with almost all of you, interviewed almost all of you, and know your backgrounds and your pedigrees. We saw something in you that we tremendously value, and we appreciate all the efforts that you made to get here. For the friends and families, I hope you take an opportunity at some point after they're fully trained in to ride with them. You will see what these men and women will be facing throughout their careers. The one thing that I ask is that parents, if you're riding along, put away your parent hat and don't tell them what they should be doing and how they should be handling the calls in front of the bad guys. So this is a noble profession that you are entering. Many of you, I know, through our conversations, feel that it's a calling. As we talked about out in the hallway, I want you to remember how you feel today and why you are here. You are going to be policing a free and democratic society. Please keep in mind the U.S. Constitution and that we are here to protect people's rights and that we must be compliant with the law as police officers. We can't be the occupiers of our communities. As police, we are not at war with anybody. We are servants and we're here to serve. We are the guardians and protectors of our community. We serve and protect, as said in one of the oldest and most basic mission statements of our profession. And we need to ensure that we continue to do that. The basis of our profession and what we do is built on relationships and trust with those that we serve. We continue to focus on working with our community as so much of the tradition at WPD has been. As difficult as it can be during times where we feel unappreciated, we need to continue to focus on the role and our mission when we serve. As the chief, I want you to be closer and closer to the community, not further away. In light of a lot of national events, it's easy for officers to withdraw, to feel unappreciated. Well, I'll tell you from the community meetings that I go to and the community members that I talk to, this department and you are greatly appreciated by our community. You will learn throughout your career that the closer you get to the community and the more people you know and relationships you have, the more crime you will solve, the more information you will get from those in your community. Not only will you get more information through meeting people that call you and feel comfortable with you, you will also find that you will be safer. I can remember a time where I was fighting a guy in the middle of a street and losing by myself when neighbors began to pour out of their homes to help me. They came out because they were concerned about my welfare, and I knew every one of them. Those are the relationships that I want you to build. I want you to have neighbors running to your aid if you should ever need help. Get out of the car and talk to people. I encourage you to get on a first-name basis with as many people that you can that live in your beat. The most rewarding aspect for me in my job has really been to show our community members who I am behind the badge and get to know them. It's also great to work with communities that have historical distrust or dislike from the police and show them who we are. Changing opinions for the better about police and what we do is probably the most rewarding aspect of the job for many people in this room. Now, if you find you are unable to connect with the community, and this happens from time to time, and it can be an occupational hazard because all we deal with is people in crisis. We don't get called to parties to sit down and have a conversation about politics. We get called because there's a crisis, there's something going on. Call after call after call of dealing with people in crisis can change your opinion at times of those that we serve. You need to remember that we deal with a small percentage of the population, time and time again, oftentimes at their worst. The reality is that the majority of the community, overwhelming majority of the community, is very supportive of the work that we do. You will question the sanity of the world we serve because of this extreme that we deal in. But don't forget that it is a very small portion of the population that we deal with. And to change that perception, when you have downtime and time available, that's when it's important to get out of the car and talk to people when there isn't that crisis. Don't forget how the tone of your voice, the cock of your head, or the raise of your eyebrow can impact those people that we serve. Policing is entirely relational. And to be effective in this role, you must be good at listening, communicating effectively, and treating people with dignity and respect. If you can perfect the ability to build relationships as a police officer, you will thrive in our profession. I'll say that again. If you can perfect the ability to build relationships in our profession, you will thrive and help move us forward. Remember, one of the best things that we can do as police officers is impact people's lives in a positive manner. One of the best tools that you are given is discretion. For minor crimes where you have the ability to use discretion, use it wisely and use it ethically. If you can divert a youth from the criminal justice system and become a positive influence, and remember, I want you to think of your role as a mentor, guide, and coach to those that we deal with. This is a win like no other. Look at your position as one that is there to protect people's constitutional rights and not restrict them. Be a critical thinker and remember how a ticket for a minor violation can impact someone for the rest of their life. If you help someone who is struggling in life and help get them on track and doing better, that is a win for everybody. Think of this. So our homeless outreach team, that is exactly what they do. They don't hammer people with ticket after ticket after ticket. They spend time problem solving and figuring out what is the best way, the best venue to bring people back to getting on track, to stabilizing them, to getting them housing. Problems with education outcomes, unemployment, health care, breakup of the family, all feed into problems that cause police contact. We can look at these factors and work to help people out or feed into the problem that got them there in the first place. Ideally, you should work together in an effort to create a positive future for those who live in your area that you are privileged to serve. Don't become over-focused on just being law enforcement. In our roles, we can do so much good, but it is often missed because many don't see how police can use problem solving to address many of our crime issues at its core. The opportunities for you to have positive impacts on people's lives is limitless. Remember, the majority of public has very little contact with the police, and you may be their first and only contact with a police officer, and they will remember how you treated them. They will pass their feelings on to many others and may stereotype other officers based on your conduct. You know, that's the one unique thing about our profession. There is no other profession where when one person screws up, it often impacts the profession, where it shows on all of us. You become the face of the police department out there. And that, when an officer breaks the faith given to them by those that we serve, it reflects poorly on every police officer who wears the badge. And we've never been under more scrutiny than now. Use of force will remain one of our most controversial aspects of our profession. You know, the experienced members, police officers in this room will tell you our best officers rarely have to use force. And they don't have to use it because they have great communication skills and use great tactics. It is my charge to you to use your communication skills and talk in an effort to gain compliance. On dangerous calls, whenever possible, remember to use distance and time to your advantage. And I'm not saying put yourself in dangerous positions. Your safety and well-being is paramount to me and members of this command staff. So don't forget to use good tactics that you've been taught in the academy and stay safe out there. There is a lot expected of you, and I know you haven't undergone some type of metamorphosis to make you into superhuman people. You are going to make mistakes. I make them all the time. Just ask these guys up front here. They'll be happy to tell you about my mistakes. It's part of being a person, a human being. We don't expect you guys to be perfect. What we do expect is that when you make a mistake, that you fess up, that you messed up. And we learn and move on. That's how we learn. That's how we expect you guys are going to learn, that you're going to make mistakes and learn from your mistakes. So to the point we are today, no matter how hard you try, there are going to be issues in your career, times where you make an error. And we understand that, and we're going to support you. As we close, I want you to think about what kind of officer you're going to be. We all had this idea of how we're going to be out in the field and what our personal mission is going to be. This is the time for you to think about what is your legacy going to be out there. Are you going to be the officer we all know who is friendly and respected by their peers in the community? Are you always going to treat people like you would want to be treated? Are you going to be fair and help guide, coach, and mentor youth and people who are struggling? Are you going to go above and beyond to help those in need? Be the kind of police officer you dream of becoming. Your communities have high expectations of you as well. Don't forget that you are under the microscope as a police officer, not only on duty but off duty as well. Driving conduct, drinking alcohol, and your overall behavior will be watched and judged like never before. And the expectations for your behavior by me and members of our leadership team are very high. So I'm going to close it with one last piece of advice that I always like to say, because this is probably one of the truest things. When you're done here today, I want you to take a lot of pictures. And why? Well, because you guys are never going to look younger or thinner or better in uniform than you do today. So with that, a sincere congratulations and a welcome to you, your friends and families, to our family. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Captain Dave Mattingly. It is my privilege to introduce Colonel Richard Powell. In 2008, Colonel Powell was appointed by Sedgwick County Sheriff Robert Henshaw to be one of Sedgwick County's 3 undersheriffs. Colonel Powell, as the administrative undersheriff, oversees the fiscal well-being of the agency and its $56 million annual budget. In addition to managing the budget, Colonel Powell assists Sheriff Easter with day-to-day operations of the multi-division 500-plus agency employees, oversees the civilian administrative staff and the support services division, which includes the Sheriff Training Academy, Record Section, Property and Evidence Section, Community Liaison Unit, and the Sheriff's Special Projects Unit. In addition to his work-related activities, Colonel Powell has served for the past 20 years as an adjunct instructor at Friends University, where he teaches graduate and undergraduate classes in business and management subjects. He holds a bachelor's degree in business management and a Master of Science degree in management information systems. He is a 2014 graduate of the Hugo Wall School of Public Affairs at Wichita State University, where he recently received his certificate in the Mini Masters of Public Administration program. In his spare time, Colonel Powell serves on executive board of Central Plains Region, American Red Cross, and the Kansas DUI Impact Center. Colonel Powell.
Good morning, all. You may see in your program that Sheriff Easter was supposed to be here, so I'm his stunt double for the day. The sheriff sends his apologies. He was unable to be here this morning as originally scheduled. As we get started, I'd like to welcome some of the other people that we have in the audience today. I noticed a couple of our Sedgwick County commissioners in the audience, Commissioner Howell and Commissioner Dennis. Also thanks Judge Magana for being here today to assist us with our ceremony. A lot of folks from the various families of the graduates that we're talking about today, the graduating deputies, the graduating Wichita police officers. You folks are probably the most important ones here in the audience because you're part of the really important support mechanism that these new graduates need to have. Graduations, as we all know, typically are a reason of celebration. Graduation day marks the end of the academy, but the beginning of a career per se. I told the recruits, as I've had the opportunity to speak to them several times, that really their education in this field is really just now beginning, even though they've already finished the academy, because they're going to experience so much more, see so much more, and be exposed to so much more. We have given them just enough to generate the interest, to lay the basic foundation. Now it's incumbent upon them to take the ball and run with it. Being a law enforcement officer, we know, regardless of where you're at these days, is a very difficult challenge for people. With the events of unrest and violent crime that we have seen happening across our country, these young men and women will be challenged to make quick, sometimes even life-altering decisions during their careers. There's a lot of discussion and debate that goes on across the country about law enforcement professionals. Are we warriors or are we guardians? There's a lot of discussion about that. I would suggest to you that we're neither or we're both. Warriors and guardian is simply a label. It doesn't really talk about the individual person. Our deputies within the Sedgwick County Sheriff's Office, their duties haven't changed that much over many years. We have a lot of technological advancements. We have a lot of new tools in our toolboxes. We have some new laws that have been passed. We have some court cases that give us direction. But the overall job is a lot the same. Deputies are tasked on a day-to-day basis with enforcing the law, of showing compassion to those in need, to provide comfort to those that are victims of crime, and above all, to be professional all the time. These things are things that we've always done. They haven't changed. Sheriff Easter was invited 2 weeks ago to the President's National Summit on Crime Reduction and Public Safety. He represented all 105 sheriffs in the state of Kansas while attending this conference in Washington, D.C. The commitment to law enforcement from our leaders of the country, he felt, was very supportive, and the future of law enforcement looks very promising. Discussions during that summit included things such as mental health care, juvenile crime, immigration issues, officer wellness, and many other significant topics that are very applicable to our profession. The main theme was the fact that law enforcement in 2017 is expected to wear many hats. I think those of us who have been here for a while, we know that. You that are just coming on board, you'll figure it out pretty quick. We wear a lot of hats, and we're expected to be the fix for many, many of the social ills across our individual communities we live in, while at the same time we make them safer and more secure. Each of you are expected to handle every call with integrity, professionalism, and compassion. Compassion for the weak, as well as enforcing the laws equally. There are 3 traits each Sedgwick County Sheriff's Deputy should have: ethics, integrity, and morals. Without these key traits, citizens simply will not trust us, and other law enforcement officers will not trust you, and your testimony in court will be rendered invalid. If you do not remember anything else that we've discussed today, remember those 3 traits. You absolutely have to have integrity, you have to have good ethical behavior, and you have to practice good morals. And you should also remember, as we've discussed, not only do you do that while you're appearing in public in your uniform, but remember the fact that that bar in society now has been set a little higher for you. And now you live in that glass house. The expectation of you is much higher. To the families, everybody here in the audience, and all the loved ones, we thank you for raising such fine women and men and sharing the knowledge you imparted on them during their upbringing and the character that you helped them build. These young men and women are the future of our sheriff's office. They're the future of law enforcement across the country. They're fine examples of what we look for in members of our law enforcement family. These deputies have completed 24 weeks of training. They've learned about a variety of topics to equip themselves with the knowledge and skill set to be successful law enforcement professionals. I'm confident that these deputies and Wichita police officers will make their family members proud, as well as the citizens they serve also make them very proud. You, the family members, the loved ones, you're a key to their success. You will have to endure them working nights, them having their days off on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and not being available for the family activities on the holidays. You will have to listen to your loved one when they've had a difficult day at work. They may have things that they want to tell you, but they might not be able to. They may have things they want to tell you, but they may be too painful, but they need your support. Your continued support to them is of utmost importance and so vital. I'd like to take a moment real quick to acknowledge a few people within our Sheriff's Office that are audience. First, we've got a few members of our training academy. I see up here in front. If you 2 fellows would stand, please. Training staff, a range paddock, thank you, and a mentor. I see we have David Hine, Sergeant Hine in the back, who's one of our recruiting people. In the middle section here, I have several members of our command staff, Under Sheriff Greg Pollock, who oversees the Law Enforcement Bureau, Captain Jay McLaurin, our Investigations Division Commander, Captain Mary Mattingly, our Judicial Divisions Commander, and Lieutenant Gill, who's our Administrative Patrol Lieutenant. So thank you for all of you for being here. In closing, I'd like to extend again my congratulations and a really warm and heartfelt welcoming to all of the deputies and the Wichita police officers. You're now officially part of our big family. Doesn't matter what color the uniform is, you're all part of the family. You've chosen a career to be very proud of. You've been accepted in a profession that it's very difficult to get into. Remember, as I said a moment ago, all eyes upon you right now. Never say or do anything that would compromise your integrity. I wish all of you good luck in your new career, and be safe. Thank you.
It's been a long-standing tradition for each recruit class and sheriff's class to elect a class president. The recruits alone make the selection, and this class made theirs several weeks ago. One of the most important duties for the class president is to present the class with comments during today's ceremony. Representing the graduating police class this morning is Officer Christopher Miller.
Thank you very much. First, I'd like to say from all of us, thank you to all department members who adjusted their schedules to be with us today. I'd also like to thank family and friends who traveled many miles and many hours to come support us today. In the beginning of the academy, 25 weeks seemed like an eternity. The first few weeks were the toughest because no one knew anyone else and lunchroom conversation was sparse. Over the next several weeks, we came to know each other, and learning together helped us grow. In April, we suffered through OC spray and taser training together and made it through not as a group of individuals, but as a team. As the academy winds down, I'm thankful to say that I've gotten to know some truly incredible people. Before we move into the next chapter of our careers, it's time to reflect on the things that have gotten us here today. I don't think I'd be on this stage without the incredible support of my family and friends, and I know that they'll continue to support me on this journey. As a class, we have enjoyed the support of countless instructors who have devoted and donated their time and energy to help us become better officers, professionals, and coworkers. We've also had the great support of Academy staff and leadership, specifically Captain White, Lieutenant Easter, and Officer Tapia. Thank you to these people and to everyone else who has helped us succeed. We've been told countless times that the title of police officer carries a weight and responsibility comparable to no other job, and that's especially evident when reading news articles or social media today. However, as we've also been told, the rewards of this job far outweigh the faults. I truly cannot wait to experience everything this job has to offer and to learn everything I can from those who already have. In closing, I want to acknowledge the hard work put in by every member of the Spring 2017 class to be standing here today. I speak for all of us when I say that we're incredibly honored to be considered among such company as the law enforcement officers who serve this community each and every day. Until we meet again, stay safe and thank you.
Representing the graduating sheriff class this morning is Class President Melissa Howell.
Ladies, gentlemen, Colonel Powell, City of Wichita Police Chief Gordon Ramsay, command staff, honored guests, fellow classmates. Thank you for being a part of what is the most exciting day for the Sedgwick County Sheriff's Office and Wichita Police Department's 2017 Spring Academy class. 25 weeks have come and gone, and today we can proudly say we have graduated from the Wichita Sedgwick County Law Enforcement Training Center and can officially start our careers. We survived countless days in the classroom going over PowerPoint after PowerPoint. Beginning this journey, learning about the basis of law and order, the United States Constitution. We progressed through the weeks going over case law, defensive tactics, learning how to effectively communicate with people, emergency vehicle operations, and other important topics relevant to law enforcement today. We have endured multiple scenario days each one pushing us to become better than we were the day before. But most importantly, we learned how to survive, both physically and mentally. As we go along through this, I have to take the time to thank the instructors and academy mentors. Lieutenant Hoke, Lieutenant Easter, Sergeant Gibbs, Field Training Deputy Hawley, and Field Training Officer Tapia. These individuals, among others, were there every step of the way, always pushing us to our limits and challenging what we thought we knew about policing, always reminding us that we are human and that it is okay to ask for help and to make mistakes. To acknowledge my Field Training Deputy Hawley, you took on this class and became our leader, never wavering from your expectations and making sure that we could turn into the best version of ourselves that we could be. We hated you for a majority of the academy, but as we go into field training, we have to extend a big thank you. Because of your leadership and guidance, we will all be better for it in the end. Law enforcement is a challenging and rewarding career. Having served with another agency for almost 4 years prior to joining the Sedgwick County Sheriff's Office, I can say that I've experienced both the challenges and the rewards that this career can bring. I made the decision to join the Sedgwick County Sheriff's Office so that I can better serve my community and become better than who I was. Today, I get the honor and privilege to graduate alongside my academy members who are willing to push me to become better and have taught me a great deal during our 25 weeks together. We have pushed each other, annoyed each other, but in the end, we are all better people after we had the ability to unite as one. These three men, and Linton, he's in his own category because he likes cats and drives a Marlin Blue crossover, wearing blue with me, have become the best big brothers any girl could ask for. We have become a family, and I am so proud of you guys. I'm reminded of a time when Colonel Deesman challenged us to write down why we wanted to do this job. And she asked that every time we've had a bad call or a bad day or start to question why we're here, to go back and read it. Because this is the time where our reasons for wanting to do this job are the most pure. And I ask my classmates to never lose sight of why they want to embark on this journey. At the start of every day, as we are walking into our sheriff classroom, we're reminded of those Sedgwick County deputies who paid the ultimate sacrifice. For those of you not familiar with the building, there's a memorial right outside our classroom doorway. We were fortunate and humbled to learn about those deputies and the events that led up to their final call. I hope we never forget about them and the lessons that they taught us. Deputy Hawley had an acronym on the chalkboard during the entirety of the academy. CWKY. Complacency will kill you. Instilling in us that we have to take an active part in our own survival, keep our heads on a swivel, and to always have a plan. He made sure we were up to date on the latest fallen officers and what happened during their final calls by reading us notices from the Officer Down memorial page. He would remind us to always stay vigilant, be aware of our surroundings, and to never be complacent. To my brothers in blue, may we always serve our communities in a professional and ethical manner, always having the courage to hold not only others, but most importantly ourselves, accountable for our actions. To never lose sight of the idea that our actions today will shape the future of law enforcement tomorrow, and to never put yourself in a position where your actions could tarnish this badge or the memory of those who died wearing it. For the 21 of us sitting together, may we always remember the ultimate goal in our career, which is to come home safe after every shift. To our families and friends who've chose to stand by us in our choice to be in this career and promise to love us through its ups and downs, this is our ultimate promise to you, that we will strive to come home safe to you every night and to serve our community with the utmost honor and respect. Congratulations to my classmates. We have just bought a ticket to the greatest show on earth, and may we enjoy every minute of it. Thank you.
The oath of office is a pledge given by an individual in the presence of witnesses to perform their duty with honor. We're honored to have Judge Chris Magana with us today to administer the oath. Judge Magana graduated from Garden City Community College in 1986, Fort Hays State University in 1988, and received his law degree from the University of Kansas Law School in 1992. His experience includes working for Legal Services of Southeast Kansas, the Sedgwick County District Attorney's Office. He also worked as an attorney for the law firm Clinda, Mitchell, Osterman, and Zucker, prior to being appointed to his current position as judge in the 18th Judicial District in 2008. Judge Magana's commitment to the Wichita-Sedgwick County community through volunteering with the following organizations: the Wichita Crime Commission since 2005, Big Brothers Big Sisters of Sedgwick County for 11 years, is also sat on the board of directors for the Wichita Bar Association, the Kansas Bar Association, and the American Bar Association. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Judge Magana.
Good morning. I'd like to start by extending my congratulations to the 21 graduates here today. I'd also like to thank the Sheriff and WPD command staff for the invitation and the opportunity to administer the oath of office today and to say a few words. It is always an honor for me to participate in these law enforcement graduations. Now, before I get too far into my remarks, I wanted to mention that you may not know it today, but we do have a minor celebrity with us, and that would be graduating officer Andrew Gonzalez. Now, for those of you who don't know it, last week on the front page of the Wichita Eagle, above the fold, no less, was an article and photo about how law enforcement is turning to social media to get more recruits, with Officer Gonzalez front and center in that article. This very article. Officer Gonzalez, after we're done here today, I'll either get an autograph from you on my copy, or maybe I'll just give you my copy in case you need an extra souvenir one. I really only mention this article because it does talk about some of the challenges today for law enforcement. It mentions the difficulty that some departments are having to recruit officers, difficulties because of maybe lower starting pay than some professions have, night and weekend shifts, dealing with some of the negative views of law enforcement that some have, and funding of departments and budgets. And I'm sure all of the command staff here today will tell you that funding and budgets are the most glamorous part of their job. All of the challenges that were set forth in that article and that are in the press today are the same that you all will soon have the opportunity to take on after today. And you're going to be also given the opportunity to reinforce or change perceptions of law enforcement by how you do your work day in and day out. Whether you work as a deputy or a police officer for only a couple years, or you end up making a career of it, won't matter so much as how you do your work, how you interact with the community, and what impression you leave in those interactions. What will motivate each of you and keep you excited about the work will be unique to you individually. And that's likely to change as you move forward in your careers. Now, a few years ago, I told this story at a similar graduation, and I think enough time has passed that I'd like to tell it again because it always stuck with me from the very first time I heard it. It was told to me by a good friend of mine who was in the WPD that I had worked with on some cases when I was a young prosecutor. And he told me that after his graduation from the very same academy that you're graduating from, he'd started working in patrol. And after he'd been out on the streets for a few years as a young patrolman, he'd reached the point where he thought he knew pretty much everything there was to know. He was around 24, and he'd gotten a bit cocky, maybe a bit lazy. By his own admission, he was coasting in his job. He told me that he wasn't fully engaged or dedicated to his police work. He didn't appreciate the job or think about what he was tasked with. In his words, he'd become too big for his britches. Now, it reached the point where his former academy captain, by then a WPD major, and a man that he deeply respected, took him aside one day. And that major told my friend that he'd been watching him and that he'd become complacent. The same word that Deputy Howell used up here a few minutes ago. Now, my vocabulary is not too bad, but I still looked up the definition of complacent. And it's worth knowing for this story. Complacent is defined as being pleased, especially with oneself or one's situation, often without awareness of some potential danger or defect. Now, that WPD major told that young patrolman that he'd become complacent and was a bit too pleased with himself. And that major told him that this job as a police officer was not a job you just come into each day, punch a clock, and go home. He told him that he was entrusted with ensuring the safety of the citizens he worked for. He told him this was not just a job, but a profession. The same word used earlier today by Chief Ramsay. He told him you must conduct himself in a professional manner and treat the job that way. Finally, he told him that he couldn't just go through the motions, and if that was what he was going to do, then he should go do something else for a living. Now, that advice to that young patrolman came from former WPD Major Rick Easter, who is the father of Sheriff Jeff Easter and my friend, Sheriff's Deputy Kevin Easter, killed in the line of duty. Now, that young WPD patrolman told me that Major Easter's intervention changed him. He took to heart that advice, and he changed direction. He stayed in law enforcement, making it his profession. And he rose through the ranks of the WPD until he retired. So my advice today is the same as Major Easter's. Don't be complacent. Don't start coasting in this job. Be professional and treat this as a profession. But this advice, while given today, is probably better remembered a few years from now, when the 21 of you have become veteran officers and deputies, when all of you are more comfortable in your jobs, when there's a greater risk that you might become complacent and think that you know everything there is to know. As I wrap this up, I will remind you of something else Major Easter said. What you embark on today is a profession. The definition of profession is those engaged in an occupation or calling. For many of you, this is a calling, and it demands you conduct yourself in a professional manner. The oath you're all about to recite concludes with each of you swearing to discharge the duties entrusted upon you. Always remember, this community is entrusting you with many things, not the least of which is public safety. But you also now serve as examples, even those of you who didn't make it to the front page of the paper. I have never met a little kid who wanted to grow up to be a judge, but I've met plenty of kids who wanted to grow up to be cops. You're now their examples, and it'd be a shame to disappoint them or anyone else in our community. Thank you for the opportunity to share a few words with you. I wish you good luck, safety, and Godspeed. I will now ask the graduating class to please stand. Raise your right hands and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States of America and of the state of Kansas and the city of Wichita, and faithfully and to the best of my ability discharge the duties entrusted upon me as a police officer or sheriff's deputy. So help me God. You may lower your hands. Congratulations.
It's now time to present the graduates with their certificates.
Alex Bamberger.
Dexter Betts.
Clayton Blackwood.
Jacob Burnett, also receiving the Marksmanship Award.
Logan Davis.
Juan Espinoza.
Vince Folston.
Cordell Gallagher.
Christopher German.
Andrew Gonzalez, also receiving the 200-mile fitness award.
Melissa Howe.
Jordan Keck.
Tanner Chris, also receiving the Marksmanship Award.
Seth Litton.
Christopher Miller, Also receiving the Academic Achievement Award, the Marksmanship Award, and the 200-mile Fitness Award.
Blake Nichols.
Raymond Paredes, also receiving the Academic Achievement Award.
Juan Riboyeto, also receiving the 200-mile Fitness Award.
David Sharvin, also receiving the Marksmanship Award.
Emily Stryker.
Antonio Wells, also receiving the 200-mile Fitness Award.
Before we conclude the ceremony, I'd like to invite everyone to attend our graduation reception. It'll be outside in the foyer. Graduates, ladies and gentlemen, it is my proud honor to introduce the newest members of the Wichita Police Department and Sedgwick County Sheriff's Office. This concludes our ceremony. Thank you, everyone, for attending.